A very good evening and welcome to Livetalk, Diaspora Forum, a platform that tackles issues affecting Zimbabweans in the diaspora. We are coming to you from Studio 7 at the Voice of America in Washington. This Wednesday, June 15th, 2022, I'm Jonga Kandemiri.
And I'm Dube in Maryland.
Tonight, we are talking about escalating political violence and the skirmishes that happened in Chitungwiza at the memorial wake of the slain Citizens Coalition for Change member Moreblessing Ali, that resulted in the arrest of opposition Citizens Coalition for Change deputy chairperson and the Sengesa West member of parliament, Job Scala, and also Chitungwiza North, a member of parliament, Godfrey Sitole, and other CCC party members. This after skirmishes that resulted in the destruction of property in Chitungwiza.
This came after some Zanu PF members tried to disrupt a funeral work of slain Citizens Coalition for Change activist Moreblessing Ali, whose body was discovered dumped in a disused well last Saturday following her abduction on May the 24th. CCC youth then engaged in running battles with Zanu PF members, resulting in the burning down of a house belonging to a Zanu PF councillor. The ruling party is accusing the opposition of attacking the councillor, but CCC denies that. Scala's attorneys said he is facing charges of inciting violence and other violations. CCC leader Nelson Chamisa, speaking at a funeral work, denounced violence and urged his supporters to be peaceful.
Yes, Gibbs, nasi tirikutarisa nezve mhirizhonga yakaitika mumusha wechitungwiza kunyatsime zvichitevera kushaya kwenhengo yebato reCitizens Coalition for Change muzvare Moreblessing Ali vanonzi vakatsakatika musi wa24 mwedzi wapera mushure mekunge vazvuzvurutswa nemumwe anonzi Pius Jamba ari kunzi inhengo yebato reZanu PF, kunyanga hazvo veZanu PF vari kuramba kuti aiwa uyu anga asiri nhengo yavo Pius Jamba, vachiti haana bato raanomirira raanotevera kunze kwekuti ihama yachisango anove sachigaro weZanu PF mudunhu iri. Izvi zvakaitika musi wa24 mwedzi wapera, asi nezuro pamunamato waitwa wekurangarira muzvare Ali takaona paine kukakavadzana nekukikiritsana kwakaitika pakati penhengo dzeZanu PF dzinonzi dzakauya dzichida kuedza kukanganisa urongwa ihwohwo pamwe chete nenhengo dzeCitizens Coalition for Change dzaidzivirira kuti pange pasingaite mhirizhonga iyoyo yekudisrupta. Asi tinoona kuti mukukakavadzana imomo kwakasvitsa pakuti papiswe musha weimwe nhengo anove kansela webato reZanu PF masikati iwayo. Tozonzwa kuti usiku hwakazotevera kune midziyo nedzimba dzenhengo dzebato reCitizens Coalition for Change dziri kunzi dzakazopwanywawo usiku ihwohwo hwapfuura. Taona kuti hongu inyaya iri kuitika muZimbabwe. Chirongwa chedu cheDiaspora Forum chichinyanyotarisa vari kunze kwenyika, asi zvataita nhasi ndezvekuti tinge tichitora vari kunze kwenyika tichikupinzai muchirongwa tichikurukura munoona sei nezviri kuitika kumusha. We want your views as Zimbabweans in the diaspora. What's your take on what is happening in Zimbabwe with regards to the political skirmishes and arrests that happened? We just spoke with lawyer David Coltart, who is representing Job Scala, and he confirmed that Scala is charged with incitement to public violence and disorderly conduct. And Chitungwiza North, the member of parliament, Godfrey Sitole, is also being charged with violence together with Job Scala. And also Amalgamated Rural Teachers Union of Zimbabwe, ATU's president Obet Masaraure was arrested yesterday on charges of murder, and he is also being represented by lawyer Douglas Coltart. Coltart also confirmed that Masaraure has now signed a warned and cautioned statement with regards to that case, Gibbs.
Ye kunjalo ke khonoko okubekwa khona pha ke nguJonga Kanameli. Ye siyakwazi ukuthi kulohlupho Jonga olumangalisayo masikhangela okwenzakale kusukisela ngesikhathi Moreblessing Ali lo Langelihle Dube bebulawa ngabantu abacatshangela ukuthi bayakubandlela eZanu PF. Kodwa sizwile amapholisa esithi hayi abantu laba-ke u-Ali ubulewe lijaha nje kade ngani wayethandana laye waseyaliwa. So ngumuntu kade ezondile sibili wagcina esenza khonokho ukuthi waqhuma umzimba wakhe wawugamgamula wawuphosela emgodini wamanzi. Kuzobuya-ke uLangelihle sizwile ukuthi laye usanda ukungcwatshwa. uLangelihle wangenelwa ngabantu abamgamula ngamabhemba. Bemgamula nje ngamabhemba bagcina bethatha imali $25. Abantu laba babulewe ngamalunga eZanu PF. Kodwa-ke iZanu PF yakuphika kakhulu lokho. Simzwile ukuthi aFaza Mgwandi okhangela ngokwethulwa kwembiko kubandla leli sithi ngabalani la khona okwenzakeleyo. So lokhu kwenzakele ngoba kulo muntu wayethandana lo-Ali kuzobuya ngale uLangelihle Dube ubulewe ngabagubuzela nje abantu kade bedinga imali. So-ke singazi ukuthi elizweni kwenzakalani. Sizwile njalo lo Obed Masalahure we-Amalgamated Rural Teachers Union of Zimbabwe. Kuthiwa laye ubotshelwe ukuthi cacana into wabulala umuntu. So umuntu wangikhona asikamtshela ukuthi mbani khona siyakuzona. Kodwa vele kukhanya kulokubotshwa okuthize esithungiza kona ngani obophe lo MP member of parliament. So-ke kulokuxokozela okunye okumangalisayo. Besikwazi ukuthi namhla i-Diaspora Forum kodwa-ke sicabanga ukuthi ngcono silethulele okwenzakala eZimbabwe kwezithi libe kwazi ukuthi eZimbabwe sokuzalele ingwe. Sokumangalisayo okwenzakalayo. So ujonga sizwa kuthiwa-ke ukhuluma loSikhala leqoda likaSikhala uDoug Coltart omtsheleke ukuthi uSikhala ukhona ngale phakathi emapholiseni. So bathi-ke watshutshozela udlakela lokunye. Kunjalo-ke Jonga.
Yes, Gibbs, I think we can play Deft Coltart's audio for our guests before we bring them in, because I can see we have Mr. Ndlovu and Mr. Dzokora. They are ready to join us. Let me just play the audios from Mr. Deft Coltart.
So
Mr. Douglas Coltart,
Job Sikhala has been charged with 3 charges. One is incitement to public violence. The second count is public violence, and they have now also arrested Honorable Sithole, who has been jointly charged with Job for public violence. They're alleging that they are the ones who were going around damaging people's houses in Chitungwiza. And then the third charge is for disorderly conduct, where they are alleging, I think sometime in May, that Sikhala disrupted a gathering of people, but without really giving much more specifics on that. Obert has been charged with murder. He's now signed a warrant and caution, where the state is now bringing completely new allegations, which they hadn't been there before. That matter is likely to go to court tomorrow morning, and then we will have to apply for bail from the High Court, since he's been charged with murder.
That was the lawyer representing.
Yes, John. So what we can do is to perhaps mute some of these guests that are coming in, so that we can hear them properly. So you can mute them first, and then we continue. I don't know whether Ndlovu, can you hear me, sir?
Yebo, nyakuzwa Mthembu.
Yes, I want to jonga sengani ufrizile kancane, so ke kumbe wena uyamuzwa khonapho.
Hayi ukhanya ngani sebaleke.
Yeah, ukhanya ufrizile. So ke tell us a bit about what you think is happening in Zim. It seems as if there's chaos there, right?
Yeah, hayi ekhaya kubi civil, but not surprising. What is happening are the telltale signs of what will be expected in 2023. The months from now until during and after the elections are promising to be very bloody and chaotic. But what is playing out right now is mainly an issue where I would say when a husband has been divorced by the wife and the husband denies that or refuses that the wife can divorce them. That is what is happening in Zimbabwe. This is a situation where the governing party has lost the consent of the governed, and this has been deteriorating over years. Zimbabweans have rejected the Zanu PF rule over years, and now it is reaching a climax. And because of that, Zanu PF is resorting to its default settings because they do not have better proposals to Zimbabweans. They are now using violence. So what happened is that it is clear that a Zimbabwean lady was murdered. Whilst it is debatable as to who murdered her and the motives for murdering her, what is a material fact is that the woman was a member of the opposition, and therefore the opposition had every right and responsibility to console and to mourn with the family. But when the opposition decided to console and mourn with the family, members of Zanu PF, led by a local councillor, led mobs to disrupt that funeral procession on the disguise that the funeral procession had been politicized. A man who is a councillor was seen on a video telling the whole world that he had banned the family of Moreblessing Ali from mourning or holding the funeral procession at their house, which falls under his jurisdiction. If anyone is supposed to be charged with incitement of violence, it is that councillor. But that councillor is walking free and has not been charged. The lawyer representing the family, the bereaved family, is the one who has been charged. But it is also true that members of the opposition took matters into their own hands and targeted the same councillor in a clear case of retribution and emotional revenge on the councillor. We find that unfortunate because citizens, as much as you are hurt or angry, you want to try and avoid behaving like the perpetrators. In this particular instance, the members of the opposition felt like they are victims, but instead of engaging on this situation as victims, they also took the law into their own hands. And this situation has then deteriorated, where members of Zanu PF then went on a property burning spree in revenge of what had happened to the council of Zanu PF. But the tragedy
for people like Zapu, you know, I mean people in Zapu, is there any indication that the burning of the councillor's house is perhaps something that was stage managed?
Well, this is difficult. It is difficult to tell, but it's only natural that when people are provoked the way they have been provoked by Zanu PF, and when you are mourning a human being who was murdered the way this one was murdered, and people come and tell you not to mourn or how to mourn, it is only natural that emotions will run high, and one would assume that it is almost fate accompli that members of the opposition felt that Zanu PF was taking their power of incumbency too far, and therefore they wanted to deal with this councillor, and probably did that. I'm not too sure if it was stage managed, but the bottom line is that the tragedy of what is unfolding is because the state, through its security cluster, has failed to deal with these matters fairly, the state through the police are also participating and supporting perpetrators. The murderer of this lady has not been accounted for. The disappearance of Itazamara not accounted for. The murder of Mboneni Ncube not accounted for. The murder of Mr. Tuesday and Bulawayo not accounted for. But when the violence started at the funeral in Chitungwiza, the police were actually accompanying the perpetrators. It is exactly what is causing this, and I'm almost certain that after all that has been happening, more is going to happen. More opposition members are going to be arrested. We are not safe. Every one of us here is not safe. And people in Chitungwiza are going to be picked up and arrested, tortured, and it's not going to stop. So
thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ndlovu. Maybe Katemeri, you can cross over to
Yes, Mr.
our next
Dzokora,
guest.
thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Dzokora.
Tinotenda Mr. Zimbabwe
I think your network. I think the network is not good enough there. You are breaking up. Are you able to hear what he's saying, Gibbs? And
yeah, it seems as if it's a little bit hazy. But now maybe it's okay. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Oh, okay, that's it. Now we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yes, we are now joined by Mr. Tawanda Dzokora, who is the chairperson of Citizens Coalition for Change in North America. Welcome to our show, Mr. Dzokora. And I think you heard what our other guest, that's Mr. Ndlovu, if I'm not mistaken, what he just said. What can you say, add or subtract from that?
That's what is happening is what happens when we have a lawless government. I know some people would want to say that we have a lawless country, but in this case, we have a government that does not respect the rule of law. We have a government that doesn't care about the law that was set by itself. The government is clearly saying it is above the law. We have heard Mnangagwa saying he is the police, he is the army, he is the constitution, and we also heard Dr. Mavaza here last time saying that Emerson Mnangagwa is above the law. And that's clearly what we are seeing here. We are seeing an unequal application of law. Like my brother here said, we said to the government, we want the people that killed Mboneni Ncube to be arrested and charged. But up until today, those people have not been arrested. They have not been charged. Mr. Tuesday was killed. We know the people that killed him. Just the same way that we know the people that murdered Mboneni Ncube. Even now, we know the people that murdered our sister Moreblessing. But they are running scot-free. They were not arrested. And now we have this violence that is escalating in Chitungwiza. They are now blaming CCC members. But we know, we even said it even before Honorable Job Scala was arrested, even before it went to where it is right now, that Zanu PF is just trying to escalate the situation in Chitungwiza. And they're burning their own houses. They're causing the violence that is ongoing in Chitungwiza right now. And they're now blaming CCC. But we all know that is not true. We do not have a DNA of violence. Neither do we even have the capacity to enact violence. It takes a lot. It takes resources. It takes people that are used to violence for you to have the kind of violence that we are seeing in Chitungwiza. Even if we wanted to have violence or to do violence, we don't have the capacity to do that. Zanu PF can do anything. They can kill people. They can pay people to kill people. They can hire people to cause violence because they have the money. They have the resources. And that's what we are seeing right now. We are just victims in this case. If at all it is Triple C members, you should be seeing them being arrested. But as you are going to see, they're not going to be arrested. There is no one who is going to be arrested, and will keep on going on like that. But this Zanu PF that is causing violence, this is Zanu PF that said it has degrees of violence, and now we are seeing what is happening in the country. It's a bloodbath, and it's all Zanu PF's fault.
Siyakuzwa kakhulu ke baba Dzokora. Othi ke sizwe ubaba Msongelwa Ndlovu ngesindebele.
Before we go to Mr. Ndlovu, I just want to let our listeners know that we are trying to bring in Mr. Simba Mavaza of Zanu PF, who is in London. He had confirmed that he will go on this show, but he had requested that he will join us a bit late. So I'm just hoping that, he has just joined. That's great. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Mr. Ndlovu.
Baba Ndlovu, siyabona sibili ukuthi khonokho okwenzakala elizweni kwake kwenza ukuthi kube lokungahlaliseki eZimbabwe. Siyakhumbula sibili ngesikhathi umqabuko eziBambe esidukwini kubandla leZapu. Sikhumbule njalo ukuthi ngaleso sikhathi kwakulamazipra eseselegazi elihambayo bese Moreblessing bese Urongwe ngaphi indawo yonke. Kodwa ke abantu bagangadwa, abantu babulawa, kwagcina kusuka le unit yakhoda into ezinjalo. So khonokho ke okwenzakala khona manje Ndlovu, ubona ngana kuphosi kufane kuya khonapho khonokho kwehlela ibandla leZapu.
Uzakhumbula ukuthi ababephethe ezokuvikela security ngesikhathi segugurawundi yibo abaphethe khathesi ilizwe. So imodus operandi zabo azijintshanga, bayakugcoba udaka kumbe ngithi bakugcobe ifutha lemvu bethi usunukelela ukuthi bakudle. Yikho okungabe kusenzakala kathesi, and laba abantu abekho msulwa ngoba bakwenza kudala kanengi, bayenzela iZapu, bayenzela lonkomo befuna ukumfaka ejele, bayenzela lo Ndabaningi Sithole. Usakhumbula uNdabaningi Sithole bathi edlula eNational Sports Stadium eHarare, bathi ubefuna umgabe edlula eNational Sports Stadium, bathi uNdabaningi Sithole becatshile lapha eguswini efuna ukubulala umgabe, kuze waya kufa ubaba uSithole elecala eletreason elokuthi wayefuna ukubulala umgabe. Kungela nto enjalo eyenzakalayo. Kodwa ke as I'm inspired by the great revolutionary Amilcar Cabral, who says we must never claim easy victories and the revolutionary must never lie. I as much as my sympathies go to all victims of political violence in Zimbabwe, I am also very careful to be clear on the fact of what is transpiring. As I said earlier in Chitungwiza, I do not think that any human being needs a capacity to be violent. The most important thing that you need for you to be violent is extreme provocation. Those that are our heroes today were provoked extremely by the Smith regime, and they chose violence in the form of a liberation war to liberate our country. And they are heroes today. And the provocations that Zimbabweans are experiencing under the Zanu PF government is enough to lead people to commit crime, unfortunately. As Zapu, we do not encourage people to violate the constitution, whatever the provocation they are suffering from this regime. However, this regime must know that it is a duty of every national to defy unjust laws of a country, to defy unjust application of the law, as we are experiencing now, where the law is now being abused to protect individuals and the government at the expense of citizens. We
Okay.
must defy the unjust laws, but we must always try to do that under the confines of the constitution of the country.
Thank you so much. Gibbs, we are now joined by Zanu PF member, Mr. Simba Mavaza, who is based in the United Kingdom. Welcome to our show, Mr. Mavaza.
Welcome, Jonga. Welcome, Gibbs, and welcome, Zimbabweans, Comrade Ndlovu.
Thank you so much. Gibbs, maybe you have a question ready for Mr. Mavaza. Gibbs, you are muted. Let's, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So Dr. Mavaza, we are seeing an escalation of violence in Zimbabwe as we speak right now. And both the CCC and Zanu PF are accusing each other of fanning that violence. Give us your take on that.
Thank you, Gibbs. The violence we have noticed as of yesterday, or probably for the past 3 days, is entirely coming from CCC. And the perpetrators of this violence, we know them, and thank God some of them have been arrested. We are fully aware that the violence we are talking about now, it's a violence which has been incited, agitated by Honorable Job Scala and the uncouth youth of CCC obliged to the incitement. And again, we have seen people destroying, we've got videos, destroying houses, burning a house of a Zanu PF chairperson, beating up people on the streets, turning cars back, burning cars, destroying cars, and they are not hiding their affiliation to CCC. So yes, this is the wrong thing, and we do not need violence at all. Again, Gibbs, people have been agitated to violence in a case where it's entirely a criminal case. There is no proof that this has been Zanu PF doing that. Moreblessing was murdered by her ex-boyfriend, and the police are investigating. They are looking for the boyfriend, and the case is entirely a criminal thuggery, which nobody can condone. It is horrible, and the way she was decapitated after her death, it shows that the guy was mentally deranged. But that guy does not make him Zanu PF. And I'm saying to you, Gibbs, you are a Catholic, right? And if you kill somebody, we don't go around and say Catholics are killing people. We talk about the person who killed the person. It's wrong to say as long as the person who killed somebody used to belong to Zanu PF before. Actually, it has turned out that this guy is not even a member of Zanu PF. His brother is the member of Zanu PF. This guy probably already knows he's a member of CCC. So why would people now want to find a violence point, a storm in the eye over an issue which is entirely criminal and not political? This is the position we've been having all along, all the elections where MDCT, which is now transformed into CCCs, has been beating up people, becoming violent, and pointing their fingers to Zanu PF and accuse them. I've heard,
but it seems, Dr. Mavaza, sorry, can I pose a question there? It seems as if there's a one street kind of political mileage, maybe from one party or the other. But at the same time, when we look at what is happening is people that are being arrested are only CCC members. And the Zanu PF members are not being arrested. So let me put an example. There was this violence in Nyatsime, and we know that some CCC members were allegedly abducted by Zanu PF activists, beaten up. Some women were allegedly raped and all those kind of things. No one has been arrested. Now there's this violence. Only CCC members are arrested, but they were fighting with these other guys from Zanu PF. Why is it that only CCC members are arrested?
That's where your problem is.
No. This is, let's put it this way. This is a question and not a remark or any other suggestion. It's a question. So why is it that? Yeah.
Thank you for your question. To start with, there has been never an abduction of anybody in Nyatsime. It's just an allegation. People were arrested by the police for the violence they were perpetrating before yesterday. And when police came at the funeral wake to arrest the trouble causers, the CCC, as usual, claimed that it was adoption, they were abducted. Then they said it was an abduction. The second thing, as usual, the CC women started to say we've been raped. I don't know why they think they are the only ones who can be raped on earth. Zanu PF, we have our beautiful women, beautiful girls, beautiful wives. We do not rape anybody. Zanu PF members don't rape. And therefore, if there is a rape, it's not the police, it's not Zanu PF. And we know who rapists are. It's CCC. We can give you history of murderers in the CCC who have been killing their wives, who have been raping them. We can talk to the highest offices like the late Len Mojongwe. We all know the story. This has nothing to do with Zanu PF. So we should not be pointing to Zanu PF where CCC, which was actually made out of violence. I did one point before you cut me off. CCC strives in controversy. So they create a controversy so that they can show their relevance. They are like Makonye. You know Makonye? Makonye, they strive in dirty. Meat is rotten. That's when you see Makonye, those white worms, whatever they are called in English. Those, they survive in rotten areas. So the CCC, they create a rot in the society so that they can survive properly. There is no reason whatsoever for Job Sikala to stand up and say we are going to avenge the deceased without even knowing where to kill them, without even knowing which party has done this, and that is inciting. And if you stand up here and talk about that, you will be definitely supporting violence. Zimbabwe must be a violent-free country. We can live together as brothers without fighting. But the people like Job Sikala, who are known of violence, are the ones who have caused this violence in Nyatsime. And we must really put our hands together and say thank you to the police and those of his mind.
Thank you very much. Maybe Jonga, let's give
yes,
a chance to
ndikuona vadzokora vari kuzunza musoro tezvara musati marwadziwa nemusoro muchiuzunza tipei zvamunofunga. Inofunga you can put it in English for the benefit of our other guest.
All we are asking for is the police to do their job. If a person has been murdered, the police must investigate and arrest the people that have done that. We have talked about Bombeni Ngube and will continue to talk about that. We saw what happened in Kwekwe. People armed with knob carries and short stabbing spears.
I cannot hear him anymore. Maybe there's a problem. Can you hear him, Ndlovu?
No, I can't hear.
Yeah, so Mr. Dzokora, I think your audio is a bit cut off. So can you adjust your phone? Maybe you're holding on the speaker there. Can you hear me now, Dzokora?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, now you're loud and clear. Yeah. So
Okay.
adjust your phone so that we can see you. Even your chin.
Cut. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
So quiet.
Yes, I was saying all we are asking for as citizens, as Zimbabweans, is that the police must do their job, the job that we are paying them to do, to investigate murders, to investigate people who would have committed crimes, who continue to talk about Bombeni Ngube, because we all saw that happening in broad daylight. People armed with knob carries, short stabbing spears, invaded our rally. And the person who stabbed Ngube was seen, is known. And the people that were carrying all those dangerous items, none of them was arrested. None of them is in jail. And even the person who killed Ngube is out of jail as we are speaking. And then we see a repeat of the same thing with Moreblessing. Known people are abducted here. Known people in Chitungwiza, bundled in a car when people were seeing. And those people are not arrested as we are speaking. So why would we not say that all this violence is being sponsored by Zanu PF? Because those people are never arrested. And then we see what happened in Chitungwiza. A few people, obviously Zanu PF, where some of them even wearing CCC t-shirts. We have seen that time and time again. Even when we are having demonstrations, they put on our t-shirts. In Kwekwe, it was the same thing. They actually went and bought yellow t-shirts and perpetrated violence. If these people are Triple C, if these people that do these things are Triple C, why is it that they have not been arrested? If we have a police that works when people are burning houses, when people are beating each other, when people are fighting, why is it the police does not arrest those people? They are not arresting them right now because they want to stage the people. They want to come up with people that they want to frame here. That's what we are going to see. After 2-3 days, you see that they will start arresting some innocent Triple C members and accuse them of burning houses, accuse them of violence in Chitungwiza. But we also the people that were causing violence in Chitungwiza. And again, we ask Zanu PF and the government of Zimbabwe to do the right thing. When someone has been murdered, they need to arrest the perpetrators. They need to arrest the murderers. Otherwise, this is going to continue. They will continue doing this until we get to elections, killing people, murdering innocent people, and getting away with it. And as Zimbabweans, we mustn't normalize these abnormal situations. We need to condemn this. All of us, this goes beyond Triple C. It goes beyond President Chamisa. It transcends our political affiliations. Even the people in Zanu PF must be condemning this. How can we have people being murdered and then we don't have any arrest? Dr. Mavaza is talking about Moreblessing here. That is a criminal case. If it's a criminal case, why haven't the criminals been arrested? They were seen. They were there. Why are they not arrested? That's what we want to hear from Zanu PF, because we can't keep on coming here and discussing innocent people's murders, because these are people. Moreblessing is somebody's child. She's somebody's mother. You know, we can't allow this situation as Zimbabweans. But many Ngube right now, he left a 7-year-old child who is taking care of that child. And we keep blaming each other when people are dying. We are seeing what is happening. Kana vachiti vanhu ivavo ndeve Triple C kana vakakuwadzwa neTriple C ngavasungwe. They need to arrest the people, not to go and arrest Job Scala. Did Job Scala burn any house? Didn't they see the people that were burning the houses? Where were the police when that was happening? Why are those people not in jail? Why are they arresting Sitole? A few weeks ago, let me just say this. A few weeks ago, we saw a video, everyone saw it, a video of people that were stoning Honorable Sitole. Vachitonzvenga matombo, vachitakwa nematombo. But those people were not arrested, but they are on video, and they are known in Chitungwiza. Why are they not behind bars? And now we are having Sitole being arrested. We are having Job Scala being arrested. The victims being arrested.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Gibbs, you can bring in Mr. Ndlovu.
Yes, so Baba Ndlovu, as we are hearing, really, this situation is almost getting out of hand. Do you think that the situation will worsen as time goes on towards the elections?
I think you see, firstly, I think we need to identify Dr. Mavaza for what he is. Firstly, I think Dr. Mavaza's PhD must be linked to denial. He's perfected the art of denying. And it's unfortunate because, like we have said numerous times in this program, we need as Zimbabweans to look at the beast in the eye, acknowledge where we are making mistakes, and find solutions. I have been frank and honest. I strongly believe that Zimbabweans' patience has been tested for far too long, and very soon Zimbabweans will start acting beyond the means that are normal. And I strongly believe that what we have seen in Chitungwiza is a case where Zimbabweans are now expressing their impatience in the manner that is unfortunate. The responsibility of a government is to provide protection for its citizens. The first problem we have in Zimbabwe is that the government has failed dismally to provide the security of its citizens. They have failed in the manner of having unable to account for people who are committing these heinous crimes. Where there is criminal activities or criminal murder that is not even linked to politics, it is the responsibility of a government to account for that person who killed someone. And the government has failed on numerous occasions. We have mentioned Moneni Ncube, we have mentioned Mr. Tuesday, we have mentioned Moreblessing Ali, we have mentioned Itai Zamara. Let's forget about Zanu PF for the government involvement. But we are saying the job of the government, where people pay taxes, is for the government to be able to account for criminals. Let's say they are criminals, and the government has failed. But even in their failure, what has happened in this particular instance is that a Zanu PF chairman, who is a councillor, went and incited violence at the funeral and told people he doesn't have the right, nor the power, nor the responsibility to tell people not to meet or converge at a particular place. That is what incited.
I think there's a call coming in. Yes, I think there's a call coming in on Mr. Ndlovu's phone. Okay. Mr. Ndlovu.
Yes, Mr. Ndlovu.
Incited the violence that we see now getting out of hand in Chitungwiza. So there are two issues that Dr. Mavaza must understand. Firstly, it is the responsibility of the government to account for people who commit crime. And secondly, it is not the responsibility of a Zanu PF chairman or councillor to tell people how to mourn and where to mourn. That when people are mourning, are grieving, you cannot afford to go to them and tell them what to do, especially when you are a member of a political party. And that is what has degenerated this situation to the levels that we are seeing. And I feel that people then took the law into their own hands. I do not believe that it is be fair or right or just to absolve members of the opposition for the violence that we are seeing. But I believe that people will behave the way they are behaving when faced with situations where, first of all, a person is murdered and a person is an activist. And secondly, the government fails to account for the murderers. And thirdly, a member of an opposite party comes to the funeral and tells you, pick up the body, go and mourn elsewhere because you are members of the opposition. That is the problem. And Dr. Mavaza must also be honest and frank enough to appreciate that this is not right. We cannot do that as a people. We cannot do that as a civilized people. We need to behave better. We need to behave differently. Both as a ruling party and us as the opposition, we need to behave better.
Thank you so much. Dr. Mavaza, manzwa zvataurwa nevatauri kubva kuna vadzokora kuenda kuna Ndlovu. Ndofunga mune mhinduro dzamuri kugadzirira, ndiri kuona mune muri kunyora, tipei tinzwi.
Chekutanga ndechekuti da kuti tinzwisise vaNdlovu dambudziko renyu nderekuti kana muchinge matadza kutsanangura nyaya iri pamberi penyu makuita nangana nemumwe anenge aripo yatingati personal, zvinoratidza pfungwa dzenyu kuti dzinongogumira pakushoropodza nekushora. Ndo zvinoita mapato enyu renyu bato emimi nebato ravadzokora rinongonongedza tsvimbo kune munhu wose rinongotukirira. Chokwadi chiramba ndechekuti hatina dambudziko remhirizhonga rakonzerwa neZanu PF. Zviri pachena sekutaura kwataita pakatanga dambudziko kana pakatanga kushayikwa musikana anonzi Moreblessing, vakatanga vasina kana kutomboongorora kutongoti munhu wezana mutora, kutotanga kutogadzirira vanhu kuti vagare vane pfungwa neukasha pamusoro peZanu PF. Ipo pasina dambudziko rakadaro munhu angasina kubatwa neZanu PF. Munhu akatorwa nemukomana wake, vanga vakurambana vakanetsana, akadhonzwa nemukomana wake mumwe chete pabhawa. Shamwari yacho inonzi Kisiro yakataura ikati ndakatoona shamwari yangu ichidhonzwa, adhonzwa ndikadedza vanhu vatibatsire. Vanhu vakauya, mukomana chakabudisa rekeni akatanga kupfura nerekeni. Tinoziva tese kuti the choice of weapon yeCCC irekeni, ndo vanogara nerekeni. Mukomana akapfura nerekeni, vanhu vakatiza achidzokera mubhawa, akakanda musikana mumotikari vakaenda. Munzvimbo isu chatingangobvumirana pano ndechekuti mapurisa akanonoka kuekta audzwa kunzi pane munhu ari kushayikwa. Dai mapurisa akamhanya akatera munhu nekuhama dzake, dai vakabata musikana panga achiri mupenyu. Asi mapurisa akambomira vakazosimuka munhu awanikwa afa. Ndo pane dambudziko redu. But mapurisa haamiriri neZanu PF, haane neZanu PF. Mapurisa ndeye hurumende. Kana mupurisa akatadza kuita basa rake nemazvo, haisi mhosva yeZanu PF. Zvinotorwadza kuona vanhu vanenge vachitomisa tsinga dzehuro vachitaura kuti ZANU PF. Chepiri, ndanzwa Gibbs vanhu vachimbotaura vaNdlovu, ndisati ndapinda ndavanzwa mbichana vachitiwo ZANU PF yakabvira nenyaya yeviolence pa1980 ati atidi kurwara kusvika ipapo. ZANU PF haina kuita violence kune munhu pasi pano kana munyika yeZimbabwe. ZANU PF violence yayo yakanga iri yevapambi vepfumi vayakakurira 1980. Kubva ipapo zvanga zviri kuitika zvamunogara muchimbotaura muchiti zvakaitika kuBulawayo kana ringati Gukura Hundi, enge siri ZANU PF, yanga iri hurumende nepati zvinhu zviviri zvakasiyana, and we must always remember that. And hurumende yaitoita hondo yakuBulawayo kana Matabeleland area neMidlands vachiedza kudzivirira nyika neruzhinji rwayo. Zvakaitika ikoko zvakabuda panhaurirano yakaitwa yainzi the Truth Commission iya, zvikaonekwa kunzi it was a moment of madness. Vanokumbira regerero vakakumbira regerero, zvikanzi senyika yeZimbabwe ngatibatanei. Saka kungoramba tichidzokera shure kudambudziko ra1982, 83, 84 riya rinonzi Gukura Hundi, kuratidza kuti handisi kugona kufamba kuenda mberi. We must move on as a country. Pamusoro pezvo ndida kupindura vadzokora. Mapurisa akaona vanhu vachiita mhirizhonga, vakauya vakasunga vanhu. Mutsotsi wekutanga aikonzera mhirizhonga gororo hombe rainzi Jobs kana rakasungwa nemapurisa, aiko zvino zvaari muchitirongo. Vasitole vakazosungwawo because vatarisa vhidhiyo yemapurisa vakaona vasitole vachitokuchidzira kuti iwe dzima kamera kanda dombo. Sitole akaonekwa akabva atorwa picha achidaro, ndobva asungwawo. Nevamwe vakomana vakaonekwa vachikanda matombo vachipisa vachiti buda vaitoda kuuraya munhu. Mhondi dzaitochururuka ropa mumaoko dzeCCC dzakaonekwa dzichida kuponda munhu asina kana chombo weZANU PF. Chepiri, zviri kuitika kufuneral zvaitika kufuneral pakati peusiku nemasikati inyaya yekungoti vatungamiriri veCCC hakuna kana chamisa, haana kusimuka achishora mhirizhonga. Vakaramba vakanyarara, Job achienderera mberi achitaurira vanhu kuti simukai murwise vanhu, muparadze family iyoyo isazowanikwa zvachose pasi pano. And he actually said wipe it from the face of the earth. Matauriro akadaro haataurwe nevakuru vanenge vachitungamirira mapato enyika.
Ndikubatei muromo Dr. Mavaza, ndisati ndakanganwa. Mazuva apera mumwe mukuru chaiye kuZANU PF akataura zvimwe chete, achitaura kuti CCC inofanira kuparadzwa, asi hatina kumbonzwa vanhu vainzi vasungwa. Mazuva apera iwaya mumwe member of parliament kwaGutu akataura zvimwe chete izvozvo kunhengo dzebato reCCC, achiudza vanhu vavo kuti muno hamudiwi nhengo dzeCCC muarea muno, make sure kuti hamuna munhu anenge achita weCCC. Sei vanhu ivava vasiri kusungwa? Nokuti kana uchiti munharaunda mangu handidi vanhu veCCC, haugoni kuvatendeutsa. Kana vasingadi unovaita sei? It's either kuwadzinga, kuincita violence, asi hatisi kuona vanhu vachisungwa.
No, ipapo ndipo pamusina kupanzwisisa. Wekutanga wekutaura kuti vanhu veCCC hativade, havasi kutaura kuti ngavaroya, ngavaurayiwe. Havadzidzisei vadzokere kuZANU nekuti vada kuti vange vari muZANU PF. Hakuna iyo, hakusi kukurudzira mhirizhonga, kukumbirisana mumisha kuti kana muri mumusha musarege vana vachiita maCCC, taurai navo zvakanaka vadzokere kubato reZANU vanhu wedu saka haisi violence iyoyo asi kunonzi kukuchidzirana kuti vapinde mubato revanhu vagozvotera Zanu PF pamaelections aya iko zvino ndiri kutorwa nekushingirira kuti Vadzokora nevanhu vavo vese vauye kuZanu PF kubva kuna Chamisa kusvikira kuna Vadzokora vapinde muZanu PF hatisina kuvarova tinoda kutaura navo zvakanaka Zanu PF hairove inonyengetedza slogan yeZanu PF inonzi asingazive ngaadzidziswe haadzidziswe nezvibhakera asanzwa nemashoko mutsauko uri apa baba Jonga nezvakaitika kunyatsime vasikana vakati vana vanga vabviswe panyika they don't want to be seen their faces on earth akati ticha-avenger kusvika the last one afa that is violence and
ndofunga vaitaura kuti midzimu yemunhu haafanira kuti tiri kunzwa kunzi mhuri yakati haisi kuzoviga mufi kusvika zvavari kuda zvaitwa zvichireva kuti dzimwe nguva midzimu yavo ndo inenge yakuavhenja apa
saka vasikala netriple C ndo vakumirira midzimu
vasikala igweta remhuri zvinozikanwa nevanhu vese vasikala ndo gweta remhuri yekwaali saka vanotaura vakamirira mhuri
vasikala havana kutaura nyaya yemudzimu havana kutaura nyaya yedenga vakataura nyaya yezvibhakera ende pavaitaura kwakafinyamisa kumeso dumbu ravo richivhinyuka nehasha vachiti vada kurova munhu saka izvozvo zvoratidza kuti utongi hwetriple C hwatadza kucontrola their own party vanhu vasina bumbiro remutemo vanhu vasina chavakamiririra vanhu vasina chavanoziva kunze kwemhirizhonga vachamisa nezuro pavakaenda kunobata maoko havana kumbotsiura vasikala kuti hatidi zvehondo vakatokuchidzirawo vakaramba havana kana kutombotaura kuti hondo ngaipere saka tsika iyoyi inofanira kubviswa muvanhu vetriple C kubatana nekuti ane mazuva mashoma kusvika kuelections we cannot have elections tine violence yakadai so
regai tinzwe kuna Vadzokora pindai Gibbs maybe une mubvunzo kuna Vadzokora kana kuti kuna Mavaza
hapana mutungamiri ari kutaura nyaya yekuti munyika musaite mhirizhonga anopfuura president Chamisa vanyatoratidza kuti ndiye mukuru muZimbabwe ndiye mutungamiri ari kushora zvinhu zvine chekuita neviolence nezuro zviri kutaurwa naMavaza avanyare kuuya kuzonyepera mhuri yeZimbabwe pano president Chamisa vakatotaura kuti handidi mhirizhonga no violence ende akasike kutanga kumarondera varambidzwa kuita rally president Chamisa vakamira vanhu vachitaura kuti hatienderere mberi nerally president Chamisa vakataura kuti handidi kuona ropa pano handidi kuona chero munhu mumwe chete anokuvara nekuda kwangu kana kuti nekuda kwerally vanhu endai kudzimba kwenyu murunyararo zveshuwa vanhu vekumarondera vakaenda kudzimba kwavo nerunyararo ndo zvavakaita zvakare nezuro hapana pakambobvira pataura president Chamisa zvinhu zvinokonzeresa mhirizhonga chatinoziva ndechekuti vaEmerson Mnangagwa nemutevedzeri wavo vice president Chiwenga or so called vice president Chiwenga ndivo vakatotaura kuti Chamisa must be crushed and it's on record hapana muZimbabwe asina kuzviona saka ukanzwa vatungamiri vachitaura kudaro ndo zvinozoita kuti tione mhirizhonga yatiri kuita everything that is happening right now it is something that was said and pronounced by Emerson Mnangagwa and Chiwenga themselves. And when you do that, when you are a leader, it's dangerous. It's inciting. So if there's anyone who should be charged with inciting violence, it's Emerson Mnangagwa and his vice president. Because this is the reason why we are having their members doing this, what we are seeing. You know, the fish rots from the top. And when a leader speaks the way they've been speaking, they are just giving a pass to anyone on the ground to commit violence. And we are seeing that right now. So in Triple C, we encourage peace. We talk of peace. As Vice President, as Chiwenga said, we will be crushed. Zanu PF is the army.
Yes.
They have the money. They have our money that they use to crush us. So we will not embark or do any form of violence. We have said we are a democratic party, and we are going to take over power through democratic means, which means through elections. We don't have the capacity to take over power by war or by any means of violence.
Yes, we hear you, Mr. Tawanda Dzokora. And to you, Mr. Ndlovu, it seems as if we still all remember what Mandela said in one stage, that they had been pushed too far by the South African government. You still remember at that stage where ANC members were being arrested left, right, and center. And we still remember what Joshua Nkomo told supporters at one stage when people were cornered. Are we not going to see a situation where there will be civil war in Zimbabwe?
Look, you see, people like Dr. Mavaza and members of Zanu PF can wax lyrical and speak whatever they want. The truth of the matter is that when the people are fed up, the people will free themselves. These are simple telltale signs. Whether people like it or not, Zimbabweans will find a way, whether they are led by Zapu, whether they are led by CCC, whether they are not led. Zimbabweans we will find a way of dealing with the tyranny called Zanu PF. That is not a question at all. It's a question of when it will happen. It will happen. Whether they like it or not, Zimbabweans will find a way of finding a solution. But I think what needs to be said, and said clearly here, is that if we are going to engage, especially as Zimbabweans, and discuss the issue of the emotive Kukurahundi, the way Dr. Mavaza wants to discuss it, and tell people that it was a war. Ngizamtshela ukuthi engaqhubeki empentsha phakathi komphakathi. He does not understand what that issue means to people like me, for example. I was born of a woman from Berengwa. I was saved in Luveve because she went down and spoke Karanga when I was only 4 years old. They came and they killed all boys in the suburb where I was staying. I was saved because my mother spoke Karanga. 4 years, I was not at war. My friends who were killed in that street in Luveve were not at war. There is no war that has ever been fought by 4, 5-year-old boys. People were opened their stomachs to try and find dissidents. And people, the mothers died and the children died. It was not a war. It is very insulting. Children right now in their thousands cannot go to schools because their parents could not get birth certificates for them. A generation has been destroyed. We come here and discuss and say there was a commission that did this and it was found that it was a moment of madness. The moment of madness is actually what I'm seeing today because number one, there was no commission report that was made public. And number two, there was no one who ever apologized. Number three, it was Mugabe himself who said it was a moment of madness, not based on any report or anything.
Mr. Ndlovu,
So please,
we only have
we should try not to sanitize this thing.
Thank you, Mr. Ndlovu. We have a minute before we close. Maybe we can give Mr. Mavaza the right to respond. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Mavaza.
Yes.
I want Mr. Ndlovu and those like-minded to understand this. I lost my own brother, the only one I had in Bulawayo, in Tumbani. He was a Zandla force member. He was shot with unarmed during lunch by the Zipra forces. I lost an uncle who was stabbed to death in suburbs in Bulawayo. We lost equal numbers. So we cannot just try to talk one side. And again, you must know, Mr. Ndlovu, my mother is Ndebele and not Shona. My father is Shona, my mother is Ndebele. So I love both sides. I am not a tribalist and I will not stand up here and lie. We said if you want to talk about Kukurahundi, Gibbs and Mr. Jonga, find a day for this topic. But for now, let me say in conclusion, Zanu PF is not a violent party. We were never violent and we will never
Thank you, Mr. Mavaza. 1 hour exactly, Gibbs. I think it's time for us to say goodbye.
Yes, we wish to thank our guests this evening, Dr. Simba Mavaza of Zanu PF, Mr. Tawanda Dzokora of the Citizens Coalition for Change, and Mr. Msongelwa Ndlovu of Zapu. Signing off from Maryland, this is Gibbs Dube saying good night, Zimbabwe. And on behalf of Jonga Kandemiri, I think he has just dropped. We wish him well today. Good night. Bye-bye.
Signing off from Maryland, this is Jonga Kandemiri. Have a good day.